Whoa! First-person ghost encounters! Welcome to Truly Terrified, Paranormal versus Physics, where we talk about some really weird stuff, and Joe the Scientist explains how it's not possible, or maybe it is. I'm Lynn, and...
I'm Joe.
Hey everybody, I've been sick, and my voice is still not up to par, so please excuse my croakiness. Today marks our 80th episode, and we're considering if we should do something when we get to 100. That'll be around March 20th or Ostera for my pagan friends. If you have any ideas like a live show or a giveaway or I don't know, let us know. Email us at lynnandjoeonthego@gmail.com or use our contact info in the show notes and give us some hints of what you think would be cool. So today, to spare my voice, we're watching some TikTok videos of first-person ghost encounters and giving honest reactions. You up for it, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, this first video is by Nikki. I have to find where it is. There it is.
I grew up in a haunted house. Ever since then, I've had some pretty crazy experiences. And you guys are always asking for more stories, so I'm gonna tell you guys about the first time I ever saw a ghost. We moved into the house when I was about 7 years old. As soon as we moved in, my cats started acting really weird. They didn't want to go in the back bedrooms. At that time in my life, I had no idea that this experience would literally haunt me for the rest of my life. It was just a normal day. I was cleaning my room. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure it was laundry day. As a kid, there was nothing I hated more than laundry day. Laundry day meant that my dad had done all the laundry for the week and us kids had to fold it. I was in my room putting the laundry away, and that's when I saw it. At that time, I had a mirror over my dresser. So I'm looking in the mirror and there's a man behind me. If I had to guess, he was like 22 years old. He had short brown hair and he was wearing a tuxedo. He didn't look scary at all. Actually, I thought he was a real person. Until I turned around and there was nobody there. Then I turned back around and looked back in the mirror and he was gone. Now, as a kid, this was really scary to me, so I told myself that he was my guardian angel and I named him Matthew. To this day, Matthew still hangs around me. He even talks to us in some of my ghost hunting videos. Have you ever seen a ghost?
Okay, so she's oddly specific about his description.
And as usual, ghost hunting videos, referencing ghost hunting videos, indicates it's not just this person had this one experience, they have no idea. There's an implication, a heavy implication of like they know it's paranormal, they know ghost hunting is a thing, but so it's like I'm not saying this like this person is
being deceptive
or lying, but if someone is lying and their like field of choice is paranormal stuff, that's what it would look like. But that's not actually evidence for anything. It's just indicative of something.
Okay, let's go on the assumption, especially when we watch all of these. In this particular episode, let's go on the assumption that all of these people are telling the truth as they know it.
Yeah.
So she was oddly specific.
Or I should say, they're telling the truth that that's what they experienced. Very important.
Right.
So in the realm of it was not supernatural at all. Could have been pareidolia. Pareidolia in the corner of your eye is super common. I have it all the time about cats because there's cats around here.
Yeah.
I think I see a cat. It's not. It's just my brain thought that this particular form in my peripheral vision was a cat for a moment till it got new information and could rule that out. Your brain can then develop this false memory of, oh, the experience lasted longer than it did, or it was more clear than it was. Even to the point where you have no idea that you didn't just look directly at it for a few seconds. That it really was just a quarter of a second in the corner of your eye. So there's that. But if you rule that out, it's like you can have like pareidolia looking at something directly, even for quite a long time. It's obviously less common, but you can have that. But ruling that out, then you get into the realm of, okay, they actually saw something that looked very, very much like a man standing behind them. So like if somebody was actually standing there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that does happen. Somebody was there, and then for whatever reason you didn't catch them leaving, and then you didn't catch that, you didn't walk out and look for them, you know, and it was a real person. It wasn't like a ghost. And, you know, and then you get into, okay, well, there's really, really rare but physically plausible explanations, and then there's supernatural explanations. Supernatural explanations obviously require you modifying our understanding of reality, so that's not preferred. But if that's the only possibility, then you do that. You can't immediately jump to things related to the memes about ghosts, quote unquote ghosts, though. Very important. If it's already something extraordinary, you don't have any information about how it works, you know?
Yeah.
It could be a hologram from another dimension, and it just looks like what the memes say about ghosts.
Yeah. Okay, so that first video by Nikki that we just watched, to a large degree, I have to take it with a grain of salt because her entire public persona is based around ghost hunting.
Yeah.
So when you create that, and I'm not even saying she's being deceptive. I'm just saying that, just like you said, you kind of fill in the blanks. You know, you see something or you have an experience, and all of the information isn't there, and then you start kind of filling it in. And so, you know, which came first, her interest in paranormal or paranormal, and then searching through her history, her personal history, and deciding, oh, you know, that might have been a paranormal experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Even though it was just a false memory or something.
Right. This next video is interesting because it shows a large building that looks unoccupied. Now, I recognize that some people are only getting the audio of this, you know, Spotify or Apple or, you know, Amazon. They're only getting the audio. If you're on YouTube, you're going to see the video too. So this is for those people who are only getting the audio. This next video shows a large building and it looks unoccupied, like old apartments or something. Think USSR.
Like apartment blocks.
Yeah. And the voices you'll hear are not speaking English. I'm not really sure what language they're speaking. They might be speaking Russian or I don't really know. But it's nighttime and they're looking at the camera's facing this block of buildings and they're looking at it and they're running a flashlight over it. And I noticed something immediately when they went over what they initially saw or eventually saw. And I'm going to see if you notice the same thing. So this one is called Ghosts in the Window. Let me find it.
Watch this.
Isn't it? Future in hand.
430 abandoned flats, and there is something in the window.
Open. Yo. You see movement then? Move the light. Yo. What the fuck is that? Yo.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, play it again.
Watch this.
Isn't it? Future in hand.
430 abandoned flats, and there is something in the window.
Open. Yo. You see movement then? Move the light. Yo. What the fuck is that?
Okay. What is your first impression of this?
So one thing that people never do, like never, is if you're watching just like another kind of video, like, you know, just like puppies playing in a yard or something, you know, anything, it doesn't matter. You're not like looking for paranormal stuff.
Right.
You know, you're not primed to be looking for paranormal stuff, whatever. But just like the next time you watch a video of just something normal, imagine if it was a paranormal video. And then look at how people are acting, okay? And then see if that's how they act typically in a paranormal video. So like, for instance, let's say people are looking at, oh, look, it's gophers coming out of their gopher hole in a field. And the video is like looking at the gophers, okay? first thing you'll notice is the camera does bounce around, but it basically is always on the gophers. It's always pointing at the target of the thing.
And if they see a gopher sticking its head out of the hole, they don't immediately take the camera off the gopher.
Yeah. So, like one thing I've noticed in particular with when people see something extraordinary, they lock onto it. Their attention is laser focused on that thing, to the point where they're like ignoring basic things around them. And that's basic. If you think about any experience you've ever had that's like that, oh my God, it's a pit bull in a yard and it's barking, it's crawling under the fence. You're laser focused.
Right.
You're paying 100% attention to it, to the point where you might only be looking at that thing. But in supernatural, paranormal, whatever videos, you'll frequently see this, where like it's at night and they're pointing the flashlight around and they're scanning, and they're looking at the ground, looking at the walls, and then they go past something. And then they get all freaked out. And then they start this scanning thing where they're pointing the flashlight all over the place. People aren't complete morons like that.
Well, some of them are.
Debatable. They'll point the flashlight directly at the thing. They'll freeze up. They'll hone in on that thing.
Yep.
And just watch it. It's still possible. Or they'll run away. That does happen as well. Something you'll see in other videos is people immediately, it's like the fainting goat response in reverse. They get up and run without thinking at all. They just scatter.
Yeah.
And that's real. Those are real, obviously people aren't just faking real videos, but people might be faking a paranormal video like this. So the thing that things are on my mind when I see a video like that is, okay, it's on YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Strike number one immediately.
Yes.
The fact you're witnessing it is actually evidence against it. Mm-hmm. Two, they're not acting like how I would expect a person to act when they see something extraordinary. Mm-hmm. Basically never. Especially when they have a flashlight. A flashlight is where they're looking.
Yes.
They're not looking into darkness. They're looking at where the flashlight is.
Yes.
That's literally their fovea is right there, the flashlight beam. So,
and that having seen a face in between the curtains,
window,
to not go back and focus on that.
So we did say, assuming they're all above board.
They didn't see it at first?
I'm assuming it was the thing, the two curtains, and then the thing in the middle.
What I'm assuming.
So one thing that happens when you're moving is the parallax effect. You'll have layers of things that are different distances from you. And as you move perpendicular to those layers, the more distant things appear to move quicker relative to the layers that are more close. So if you have blinds, that's one layer closer to you. And then something further away might look like it's moving more than you would expect. So if you have just an object in the back of the room that's round maybe.
Okay.
And you're moving perpendicular to the curtains, it might look like there is an object that's moving around and near the curtains. But again, if you assume, okay, we've already analyzed that, maybe that's a possibility. Now we're looking at more extreme things. You get to, okay, it was a quote-unquote ghost, making a lot of assumptions about even what a ghost is, But if it did, let's assume in the most extreme scenario, and I want to emphasize it's extreme, that a ghost behaves like we all think culturally a ghost behaves. Why would a ghost be in the window doing that?
Don't know.
It's like...
Don't know. But I don't find that part unbelievable. I don't find that part even questionable. What I find
the
questionable...
ghost in the window part?
Yeah, I mean, if ghosts exist, and I believe they do, then I believe their energy of those people are probably everywhere, and they're doing everything. So it doesn't really matter. I'm so sorry. I can hardly speak. But one thing the main thing that I thought was absolutely absurd, and so either these people are stupid or they did not notice. They're either stupid or they're trying to be deceptive, or they didn't notice it until after they watched the video playback, is that they just went past the figure in the window and didn't go back to it. They just went past it.
Yeah.
Because that's not what people would do.
Yeah. Now, I have seen videos before. You know that Saoirse and I used to watch a lot of ghost videos. I've seen videos before where it was, you know, like supposedly discovered after the fact in reviewing the footage. It's just some like people normally going urban splunking or whatever they call it. But then, you know, as they pan past the window, they see a face. You know what sometimes it is? Homeless people.
Oh. Yeah, that would make sense.
In fact, it's pretty common to see in videos like that, them saying, yeah, there's a homeless person here. We have to be careful.
Oh, that does make sense because everywhere there are homeless people.
Yeah.
That's really too bad.
Yeah. For the homeless people.
For the homeless
Probably
people.
for ghosts too, but.
Yeah. Okay, so the next story, this is our last story. A lady named Lindsay Ivan is going to tell about her encounter with what she describes as a ghost. It's in 4 parts. So I'm going to play each part. We'll discuss each part as we go through, and then we'll wind it up. Okay, the first part, unfortunately,
It's next. Oh, that's
part 2, part 1.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I just saw a ghost. Normally, I'm reacting to other people that witness the paranormal, but lately it has been happening to me, and then on Monday, something very scary happened, and I am not okay. So I was in a pretty, kind of sketchy area, and I was walking towards the subway, and I saw a lady sitting on, a park bench, and I just saw her from the corner of my eye. She looked really pale, and then she had a big red mark on her face that I could see. So I turned and I looked at her, I looked away and I looked back, and it looked like she had a bullet shot right through her head. Immediately I knew that it was a ghost and that she was not alive, and she was just staring like she was not real. So I didn't want to stop and freak out and bring attention to this matter, so I kind of played it off like I didn't see her, because what else do I do? As soon as a ghost knows that you've seen them, they know that they can come to you, right? Okay, like and follow for part 2.
Okay, so I have never heard that when a ghost knows they see you, then they know they can come to you. That is absurd because
I haven't heard that one before.
I have not heard that. Okay, so
I mean, it makes sense culturally because it does because no matter what, some ghost sightings are not real, and because people are afraid when there's ghosts, they see a ghost, quote unquote. They have the standard expectations of monsters, ghosts, and other things in Western culture, where it sees you, it's going to come right at you. It's, think of a dream. If you see a ghost in a dream, that thing's going to come right at you.
Shit. So one of the things that I thought was interesting is she said she saw a lady sitting on a bench. She had a red mark on her forehead, and she looked away, and then she looked back, and she realized it's a bullet hole in the woman's forehead. So how many times have you... I mean, she obviously didn't stare at the lady, because that'd be weird. So you look at... You see something in the corner of your eye, and you look, and then you think, oh my God, and so you look away. I mean, it's like boom, 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 that fast.
And then you're sitting there dwelling on it, thinking you saw something.
And your brain's trying to figure out, what did I just see? And it could have been a boil. It could have been a shadow.
It was somebody in a costume.
Could have been.
I mean, I have to stress, if you can come up with an explanation that actually can 100% happen, it can happen. You may even have experienced it before. That automatically must be more likely than something that's completely speculative.
Right.
That you don't know is possible.
Exactly. Okay, let's watch part 2.
Okay, this is part 2 of the day that I saw a ghost. So my last video I was talking about how I was walking to the subway and I turned and I saw this woman on the bench and I knew something was wrong. She was really pale, did not look alive, was just staring straight and had a massive, hole in her head, and I assumed it was a gunshot. And since no one else was freaking out and I saw this woman, I figured, okay, that's a ghost. So I kept walking because I was like, I don't want the ghost to know that I can see it, okay? I know Jennifer Love Hewitt. This ain't Ghost Whisperer.
And as I finish walking by, all I hear is, Lindsay. Like a man whispering my name. So it wasn't a woman, but it was a manly voice coming from that area. Now, I always try and justify this. I will say I was very sleep deprived and dizzy that day, but I know what I saw. I'm running out of time. That's not all. Please come back for part 3.
The sleep deprivation literally does cause hallucinations. It
Yes.
doesn't even take that much. That again, if you put that aside, there's still a load of possible explanations. There have been cases where people, like a lot of people, thought they saw something, and then somebody comes out and says, "No, it was just this," and then it was, and then just people forget about it because it's not that interesting if it's just a normal thing people interpreted.
I don't know if there's a name for this or what it would be called, but where you hear a sound and it's like pareidolia, only of sound.
Yeah.
So somebody could have been. It could have been the wind. It could have been tires on the road.
To be thinking, oh, there's a ghost. Look,
you're tired. You're dizzy. You just saw something that you think is a lady with a gunshot wound in the middle of her forehead, and then the tires of the cars on the street happen to just go over at the right thing. That it sounds like somebody whispering your name. Yeah, I could see that.
So, it sounds like I'm being dismissive of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like I am too.
But what I'm saying is people should not tunnel vision into one particular explanation. All of the possible explanations that are valid explanations should be considered.
Yes, and I do think it's important when you believe that you've had a paranormal experience to look for ways to explain it other than jumping to the conclusion that it's something outside of anyone's understanding, because that would be your last place you'd end up. Okay, let's watch part 3.
You don't have it? Oh, wait, go down.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is terrifying. If you watch the video, I didn't mess around with no demons. They came to mess around with me. No, but for real, I'm actually really scared. Any demons are dead people are now free to be running around. I don't know what you're saying, but I'm scared. All I know is that you're not supposed to acknowledge the ghost because then they know that you can see them. So I acted like I didn't see her. Meanwhile, I am freaking out internally, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just overly tired. I think I'm seeing things. But at the same time, I'm like, I know what I saw. You know what I'm saying? It's just my body having a defense mechanism because I really don't want it to be true. And a lot of people are coming for me, being like I made it up, but hello, what do I have to gain? But yeah, as I saw her from the corner of my eye and I did the double take and I was like, that woman is not alive. No. And everyone else was just walking by and they weren't bothered by it. They didn't, so I knew if she was in trouble, then other people would be like, oh my God, are you okay, ma'am?
The fact that nobody else saw it doesn't mean that it was paranormal, because people have blinders on when they're doing stuff or they're going somewhere. And also there's kind of a, what would it be called? Kind of a privacy thing where you put yourself in your bubble.
Yeah.
And you assume other people are in their bubble and you don't really try and impose your consciousness into somebody else's bubble. So that doesn't really mean anything to me, because there have been plenty of cases where there was a dead person sitting on a bench and people just walked by and didn't even notice they were dead for days.
Yeah. Have you seen those things where it's like the animatronic studio and they make these hyper realistic dinosaurs and someone's in the dinosaur and running around and scaring people? Now imagine if you didn't see the video afterwards. You only saw it, looked down a hallway. Incidentally, you saw a dinosaur running and you ran away. And then you tell your friends, they don't believe you, make a TikTok, no one believes you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the point is, it wasn't a dinosaur.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you can say, I know what I saw, and you're right. You did.
She had an experience she couldn't explain to herself, and there were some extenuating circumstances here. She was tired, and she was dizzy, and those are extenuating circumstances because that implies there's something going on with your brain hormones, your brain chemicals, because you're exhausted or you're tired or you're something else is going on there. So whatever it was, I believe that she believed she saw what she saw. I don't believe it was demons. I don't believe in demons, actually. I just don't believe in demons.
I gotta say, I don't know what that person was saying.
I have no
either.
idea. It was
I
incomprehensible.
understand, like, the demons are, like, hanging out waiting for Jesus to come. That doesn't make sense either, so
No.
I don't know.
Okay, here's the fourth and final part of Lindsay's story.
Okay, but I'm not in the right mindset to go and help ghosts or demons or spirits, you know? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, how can I help this woman? Should I have been like, oh, to where she like, you know? Or am I supposed to do, like, a full episode of Ghost Whispers where I figure out her unfinished business so that I can help her, you know, detach her soul from this earth and go beyond, you know? Also, I had another encounter, this time with a man laying on the floor. I don't want to talk about that yet. But I think you're onto something, because the man was literally laying on the floor, and as I walked by, he was like, help me. Fuck! What is going on? What do I do? Like, do I just keep ignoring it and, like, keep coming to you guys? Or, like, do I just start interacting with these ghosts and then, like, have them come to my house and just, like, chill with me, you know?
As I often say, if you believe somebody is psychically, telepathically communicating with you, unless you can identify the person and you understand the message, there was not somebody communicating with you. It was a product of your imagination. And so if there are ghosts everywhere you look, you might want to look into mental health resources, because that's not the way it would work.
Well, one thing is, like, if you live in a city, and most people in the U.S. live in a city, there are homeless people everywhere.
Yes.
This is a relatively small town, small city, and there are homeless people all over the place.
Yes.
And yeah, I would not be surprised at all if I was walking and someone was laying on the ground and reached up and said, help me. And they look dead, you know, they're homeless.
Okay, so if I was walking along and I saw someone who looked like they were three-dimensional and actually had physical form, laying on the ground, who looked dead, and they reaching up and said, help me, I would run a distance away and I would call 911 on my phone.
Yeah.
If you see somebody who looks like they're dead.
So imagine if somebody really needed help, but they just happen to look like a ghost.
Yeah.
So they're like trying to get people to help them, and they're just running away and not doing anything because they think it's a ghost.
Okay, so this would be a good social experiment. If you're really good with stage makeup, make yourself look like you're dead, and then go lay on the trail, and when somebody passes by, say, help me, and then see if somebody will come and help you or call the police or whatever. And you would have to have somebody normal jump out and say, no, this was just a social experiment, if they start calling 911. Because I think people would, or else they would run away because they would be in fear that you're going to hurt them.
So the other thing is, from our perspective, from the audience's perspective, there's no reason why this person has to be not schizophrenic. They could just be schizophrenic.
This is true.
And it would look just like this, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly. So I've known schizophrenics, and they look like normal people because they are normal people with brain disorder. Okay, bottom line. Do you think these people really saw a ghost, or are they just manufacturing stories for the TikTok community?
Well, so I would say, if I had to, I'll put it like this. If I was to bet money on it, on them having seen a ghost, any one of them, and all together, any of them, I would expect to lose money. I can't say it's not one of the possibilities that they saw a ghost. Maybe there are ghosts and maybe they did see them. There are other explanations, but I wouldn't put so much expectation as a numerical value on them actually having seen ghosts. Like less than 10%. At the very most, 10%.
Yeah. I don't know if you just heard my stomach made this horrible loud growl. Excuse me. Audience, have you ever seen a ghost? Let us know. Truly Terrified is a Salt of the Earth production. Tell us your story and send us your comments. You can send us a 3-minute voicemail at 715-575-9420 or text us at that same number. Email us at lynnandjoeonthego@gmail.com or contact us through Reddit. Our contact information is also in the show notes. Please share, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, and let us know if you like this format. Thanks for listening, and never be so terrified you can't run.